Hello, Mr. 411. How's it going? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, man. To you as well. Yeah,
Thank you.
everything's great, man. Yes, we are here, man. It is November 25th, 2021. We are in the Sports Brothas show, episode number 30.
Thanksgiving special to get everybody's day started on a good note.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we're going to talk a little NFL today. LeBron James, which is always an excellent topic.
Yes, it will get the crowd going. I'm sure it will
Yes.
be a lot of our followers that will be way motivated from this.
Yes, a little college football. And then we're also going to talk about the coaching situations in the NFL. And then a little dessert at the end, and we'll keep that as a surprise for everybody.
I love dessert.
Yes, sir. You ready?
I am ready, Mr. 411. Let's get it. That sounds good every time I hear it. So, Mr. 411, how you been?
Man, been great, man. Been great.
How is the family?
Man, everything's wonderful, man. Same. How about on your end? Everything's good?
Things are good. Basketball's not going too bad. Family is doing well. Everyone is healthy from what I know of. I'm healthy. So truly blessed. A lot to be thankful for today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're thankful to be able to see this day, matter of fact.
Amen.
Yes, sir. Oh, by the way, Zach, is it cold over there in Texas as it is in Georgia?
It's 48 degrees today. After being in Ohio and Michigan, I can't sit here and complain about it being cold. No snow on the ground. Everything is okay.
All right, cool. All right. Well, what we would love for everyone to do right now, we welcome you all to the show, is do these three things for us.
Oh, how I have missed that. And I've learned more and more about it now. I that is what it gets the young people's attention. What is it? Like, subscribe, follow?
Yeah. And as the calculator likes to say on the fantasy shows, like, subscribe, notify.
Notify.
Yeah, he loves to give out a lot of pertinent information. And we actually did a special bonus edition because a lot of things in the fantasy football world changed over the last 24 to 48 hours. So he wanted to get some more information out there. And some of it pertained to the team with the jersey that you wear in there. And by the way, that is a nice Tony Dorsett jersey, throwback Dallas Cowboy jersey.
I'm surprised you're old enough to know that. I'm sure most people think this is somebody else, but yes, Tony Dorsett was my absolute favorite running back growing up. And unfortunately, Bernard Williams had number 33 when we were at Kendrick, so I had to go with 29 for Eric Dickerson. But love Tony Dorsett. And low-key Dallas Cowboy fan way back in the day. I used to think Danny White was the greatest quarterback out there. Of course, he was not. But a lot of Cowboy fans, I spoke to one actually recently, had no idea who Danny White was. Now, they were born in 81, so that explained it. But
yeah, that's why.
Danny White actually took the Cowboys, what was it? I think the 3 straight conference championships. Most people, so he's not in the Roger category. He's not in the Aikman category, but technically definitely better than Romo, definitely better than Dak, at least from a production standpoint or win standpoint. So
absolutely,
all you new Cowboy fans, go check your history. Yeah, he was the quarterback. Yeah, he was the quarterback on the other end when Joe Montana threw the catch to Dwight Clark. It is Dwight Clark, right? Look, I want to say it was Dwight Clark. Yes.
Yeah, it was.
81.
Dwight Clark. Yep. Yeah, because if you remember Everson Walls, I mean, he
yes,
has an advantage point of that play too.
See, that's what I'm saying. These are like, so when people talk about the Cowboy fans, are you really Cowboy fans? Like, how far are you actually going back? Because I think a lot of these so-called Cowboy fans are Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin after they won like the second Super Bowl. Not like when Troy Aikman was going 1-15, getting what was that, 11 sacks by the Eagles or something like that.
Yes, yes,
Like
yes,
got destroyed.
yes. You know what we need to do, Zach? We need to put on our social media page a poll and find out who are the real Cowboy fans,
Yes.
and we can go from there. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of fans out there, a lot of people who love Dallas, but we'll find out who the real ones are.
Yeah. At most definitely. Like you can kind of go by age group. Like depending on the age, if they're in our parents' age, aunts and uncles' age, then they're probably like from the Roger Staubach era. But I'd say once you maybe get to maybe 5-10 years older than us, if they're not like of the Danny White, as you said, Everson Walls, uh, Drew Pearson was
Yeah,
probably on the
Hollywood,
team then too, wasn't he?
Drew Pearson, Hollywood Henderson. You know,
Of
they have
course,
some. Yes,
Dorsett.
yeah, yeah.
Then where are they in between that gap of Danny White and Troy Aikman when they became actually good? Do we have any of Steve Pallor fans
Wow.
when he got destroyed by uh oh man, how can I not remember my guy from the Bears, Mike Singletary?
Yes, number
Like
50.
I don't know if you look that hit with like Mike Singletary would be out for the whole year with a hit like that now.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of hits, you remember when Troy Aikman was blasted? Wasn't it by LeVar Arrington?
Probably. Hey, I am sure all of the quarterbacks back then in the 80s or whatever, 90s, wish they had this protection now because they could have collected a lot of paychecks and probably won a whole lot more. And receivers too, because we'll go with I'm not so sure, I can't remember Irvin, but with Steve Young and Michael Irvin, weren't they? Well, I was gonna say I can't remember with Aikman actually. Why and I think Aikman was an injury, but I know Young and Michael Irvin, those hits ended their career. So all these receivers running around and quarterbacks running around, I know they get all the money. The NFL has definitely protected them with the new rules. So they should be thankful that the NFL is not as gruesome as it was, so they can collect all these paychecks. And then as soon as anybody breathes on, oh my God, you can't do that. What are you doing? Oh Lord Jesus, what's going on?
Yeah, man. Well, look, we have speaking of the Cowboys, right? They traditionally play on Thanksgiving.
They
They've been
do.
doing it. They've been doing it for decades, and also the Lions. But
Yes.
since you have the
I say
Cowboy
don't
jersey
forget
on,
Detroit.
yeah, can't forget them either. But even though a lot of people would love to forget them, but Dallas is one of those teams traditional Thanksgiving Day, and that's a great transition to our topic for today. One of our topics is to discuss the NFL matchups for today on Thanksgiving Day. So, Zach, I'm gonna throw a couple of matchups out there on the schedule, and then we'll get your opinion on there, and I'll throw a little stuff in there too. But we'll
Well,
start
thank
off
you.
with the team that a lot of people would love to forget, and that's the matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. So, what say you about this matchup today?
Well, first, you really have to be a fan to want to, I guess, watch this matchup because neither team has given you much to look forward to this year. Uh, we're going to get into this, I guess, a little bit later, or maybe we'll be getting into it now. Who should be the coach for the Bears? So sorry for that giveaway. We already know the Lions coach. This is his first year, so he's going to be in it. Now, this will be crazy to say, but for a winless team, outside of a couple games, the Lions have been very competitive for most of the year. Some of it is they've just had some bad luck. And I don't like to put luck in it, but sometimes it happens. When you lose to the Ravens on a 66-yard field goal at home, that's just like I think any coach would take it at, hey, the only way we're going to lose this game is if their kicker makes a 66-yard field goal. Like, that's not bad. But the Lions, they have things to build up. Probably the easiest thing that you need to go with a fix. And I think we kind of got into this just a second ago when we were talking about the rule changes or whatever. Quarterbacks really affect how you win. As an old defensive back, I don't really like quarterbacks that much. I think they get too much love. But whether I believe that or not, they have a major impact on the team. And the Lions have the wrong quarterback. it looks like the Rams, at least to a degree, understood what they were doing when they finally decided to get rid of or move on from Jared Goff. There's other teams that we could talk about that may need to do this. And they're going to have to address that in the offseason, because until they get that fixed, and that's not the only thing, but they really need to get some stability at the quarterback position to try and move on. As far as the Bears, this is a game that the Bears as an organization need to win, because you don't want to be the team. Pittsburgh already tied the Lions, and that was a bad job by them because they really needed that win. They could use it now. With the Bears, you're trying to I'm not going to say make the playoffs, though they would like to try to get back in it for the playoffs, but more or less build for the future and kind of get your organization going into a good direction. They've been, I'll say neutral, because they've been kind of in that 8-8 range, and they're a little bit below now. But you don't want to lose to the Lions. Take this build, go into the draft next year, add some more key components, and kind of go from there. And this, as far as for fans out there, this is just a good way to get this day started. Good thing we're not ending the day with this game. But if you like football, it will be something to keep an eye on. And as I said, Bears have work to do. Lions have work to do. Great thing about the NFL is you can get a turnaround quickly. What say you, Mr. 4-1?
Well, I mean, you already hit the nail on the head that, it's a good thing that this is the first game. It's good.
Most definitely.
It's a good warm-up game, good way to, get things going for the day. You probably, some people will probably be out there, putting the finishing touches on their the meals that they're cooking, preparing, and things like that. But you had the game on in the background. I would have loved if Justin Fields was playing. That would have, at least
of course,
a little more interest
yes,
to the game. You know what I mean? So give you something there to kind of look at, a glimpse into the team's future, and a good spotlight game for him on the national stage. That would have been interesting. But outside of that, neither team looks like they're going to be in the postseason. And so what is really on the line here? So in Fields, we can't really watch him and just see what kind of development he has. So it's just really something to watch, in my opinion. But it's football, and it's that time of year for it. So just, enjoy what you can on that. And if you want to watch a movie or something like that, get something out the way, before you get into some matchups later on, it'll be a good time to do that. So if you're at home and things like that, go ahead and throw that suggestion out there to everybody. Hey, let's watch, whatever that is, Black Mafia Family or whatever you want to get in. Go ahead and get that in now early before the Raiders and Cowboys go at it.
This is definitely a game where you probably don't have to focus on the game. You can do some other multitask. How about
there
that? You finish up the Thanksgiving Day things that you need to do before you sit down with the family and or friends and eat. So you are correct.
Now, I will say this. Detroit did break their losing streak by tying the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of our buddies' team.
Yes, that was a great job.
Yeah. So they did break the losing streak, but maybe they can get into the winners circle.
I wouldn't be shocked, but I mean, Chicago, you should want to win this game.
Yes, you really need to get that W while you can. It would be embarrassing if you lose to Detroit, really. But Zach, speaking of this matchup, right? There's a rumor out there that the head coach of the Chicago Bears, this may be his last game this season. And definitely as the Bears coach, maybe his last game. So let's talk about that real quick. Nagy, the current head coach of the Bears. But the question is, who's going to be the next coach of the Chicago Bears?
Well, I'll let you go first, because I liked what we talked about in the pre-show, and it was not something I talked about. I mean, that gets talked about a lot, and they don't get a lot of credit, but this maybe should get talked about more as a potential coaching candidate.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, there's a picture of the current coach, Coach Nagy for the Chicago Bears, and as stated earlier, it is rumored that this will be his last game as the Bears coach.
Hey, before you Hey, before you go, I just want to say until we got this picture here for the producers, I must say I would have been able to pick this guy out from any day. They could have said, "Hey, we will give you $1 million to." We got 10 dudes here. Which one of these dudes is the Chicago Bears head coach? No way in the world I would have got. Like, I knew he was Caucasian, but that's about it. Like, totally shocked when I saw this photo. Like, okay. And you know how they show the coaches on the sidelines or whatever? Like, I think I've seen him on the sideline where they had the Bears on the games, but I wouldn't have guessed it. Like, he shows up at the game and the security's like, "Hey, where are you going?" Like, "I'm the head coach." "Sure you are." So, like, no idea.
Yes. All right. Well, that's him. As a matter of fact, it's a nice picture of Coach Nagy.
Well,
I think.
Well, I'm gonna say it's a picture.
Yeah, it's a nice picture. That's a good profile picture. You know, I hope he watched the show and utilizes that picture. But
I will say picture, not nice. We're gonna take that out, but it is a picture. Yes.
Well, my selection for the next head coach for the Chicago Bears is Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Byron has been at it for a while now. You know, we know that he was an excellent quarterback in the NFL.
Yes.
For the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And college.
Things. And at Marshall, yes, he
Yes.
was an excellent quarterback there too. But he has experience of leading teams on the field. I mean, you know, the playbook and all that good stuff. But being offensive coordinator in Tampa, he's done well there too. The offenses have put up a lot of numbers, and then he's had the experience to coach Tom Brady as well. And I think, you know, things have gone well in that regard. And I just think that it's time for Leftwich to get heavy consideration as a head coach. And why not be the coach? He's a young coach, and I think maybe that'll be a great tie-in with Fields. And so in Chicago, even though Chicago is a football town, they really love their Bears. They won a Super Bowl. They want to, you know, to bring a Super Bowl back to that town. There's still some time on their side too in Chicago. So Leftwich wouldn't have to just come in immediately and win a Super Bowl there. So my suggestion will be Byron Leftwich. How about you?
Good suggestion. I'll say with all of these individuals, because Eric Bieniemy has gotten a lot of press, not so much this year because the Chiefs have fallen back and look mortal, but there was a big push for him to be a head coach. And there's always a big push for all of these kind of coordinators or assistants or whoever it is for them to go in. Look at the Giants, and they have Joe Judge, and what I think he was a special teams guy, and he's a coach, and that hasn't necessarily panned out. And it's way early with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville, but he's an established guy. I just say that to say you never know how any of these things are going to work once you bring these individuals in. Now, with that said, I want all of these guys. If they get an opportunity to go coach like Byron Leftwich, I'm sure he wants that opportunity. So if that's what he wants, and if he's willing to hitch his wagon to Fields, because as a coach, your success is probably going to go hand in hand with who you have as your quarterback. Just look at the Cleveland Browns situation and Baker Mayfield down there. So good for him. It wouldn't be a bad choice for Chicago if they decide to move on. But if you want to put the picture back up there of Matt Nagy real quick, and not so I can make fun of him, Matt Nagy should stay the head coach. And I think we're in this microwave society. Matt Nagy went 12-4 his first season, made the playoffs. Then he went 8-8. This year he's 3-7. It's a little rough, but I don't think Fields should have been the starting quarterback anyway, based on just what I remember from him at Georgia, what some people that watched him in high school told me about him in high school, and even Ohio State. Fields has stuff that he needs to understand. I mean, he still needs to learn the quarterback stuff that we kind of talk about with Lamar Jackson. So if we talk about that with Lamar Jackson, Fields definitely needs that. I think you give Nagy not just this year, but next year. And then if you don't like how things are going, move on then. Because if you're going to move on from Matt Nagy and he's made the playoffs twice and he's in the same division with Green Bay and the Vikings, then what's going to be the standard? Because that means Byron Leftwich or whoever comes in shouldn't get that long if they can't turn things around or whatever. I would keep Nagy if I'm the Bears, and we just kind of go with it. And as I said, see, I know that's not the norm, but sometimes you have to ride things out just a little bit.
All
And
right.
I don't think he's done terrible.
No, he's not. He has not. I guess the reason why we're bringing it up is because it's rumored that the Bears are
No, yeah,
I
I heard that, and it shouldn't be a rumor. I think he got the endorsement, but you know how that is. Whatever you get the endorsement, that's like the kiss of death.
Yep.
But they're going to replace him with an unknown, possibly. So unless you're going to go out there and get you some established coach, like your coach in Seattle or something of that nature,
right.
or Mike Tomlin with the with the Steelers, why make a change right now just because he's been at least 500 and he give him I'd say another shot.
Yeah.
Well, just for stability's sake, not for any other reason other than that. Because Fields himself needs some stability. Now, unless you don't feel like he can develop Fields, I guess you do it now. But I would organizationally try to not make decisions like this. We just take our time with it. And you see it all the time that 3-4 games into a season, we fire, or I shouldn't say we, but teams fire a guy, be it NBA or even football, and you're like, what are you doing? Because if you were going to do that, you should have just fired the guy anyway in the offseason.
Yeah.
But I do like I like the Leftwich thing. So if you're going to move on from Nagy, then yes, definitely give Byron Leftwich a shot. Though I will say it will be a rough go for him with Fields, because I think Fields is probably 3-4 years away, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And we definitely value your opinion, Zach. Another thing that we need your opinion on is the matchup with the team jersey that you have on, and that's the Cowboys. The Las Vegas Raiders are coming to town. Well, they should be there now. But the matchup, it should be the 4 p.m., 4:30 matchup, the Raiders and the Cowboys. What's your take on this matchup? How do you think it's going to turn out?
It is a mess. How about that? Because you had the Raiders. They were flying high. And these past, 3-4 weeks for the Raiders have just been terrible. And this is why when people say, it's just sports, no, it's not. This is like professional. This is organizationally. They lose their coach because of emails that were investigated by the Washington, I was going to say Redskins, but I'm sorry, Washington football team. Like they wasn't even, like you wasn't even looking for this. And then you go and it's like, oh my God. And now they got to fire John Gruden because of his remarks. Henry Ruggs does really, truly irresponsible what he did. Not only drinking and driving, but then driving 150 plus miles an hour. And then the worst thing that happens out of all of that, outside of him killing, like the only thing worse than him killing himself is now he killed someone else, which has happened. So they have to cut him immediately. You've had, I want to say they had a player that threatened someone via video. Don't know why, but brandishing a gun, talking about they're going to kill somebody. And that is just a lot of stuff for your organization to go through. And oh, by the way, then you got an interim head coach. So they got to really kind of play above board to get themselves in the playoffs when they were on that way. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen for the Raiders now. From the Cowboys standpoint, they just have a lot of injuries right now. Amari Cooper's out because he's unvaccinated, which we've seen before. I think he's still going to be out. And somebody has him on his fantasy team and picked the wrong Cowboy receiver, obviously, instead against Lamb. The running game needs to be better, but it's hard for the running game to be better when Tyron Smith is out and your offensive line isn't playing up to what it should play up to. Defensively, you're missing people, but they gave a great effort in, I want to say, didn't they hold the Chiefs to 19 points, I think, lost that game by 10? I think they held them. Might have been a little bit more than that, but it held the Chiefs down fairly well. We're competitive. But how healthy will the Cowboys be today? I don't think they're going to be that healthy today because I have their defense in fantasy, and I decided not to play their defense because I'm unsure of what I should get for them. But I think when they have their team together, and we spoke about Danny White earlier and how he got the Cowboys to 3 consecutive conference championships, and everybody makes fun of the Cowboys, but the reality is they haven't gone to a conference championship, I believe, since the Troy Aikman days, which is a long time ago when we look at that. They have a team this year that can make the conference championship. If, and here we go with everything, if, injuries get out of the way, which, that's a part of thing in football. And from a mental standpoint, they just show up and play the way that they're supposed to play. This will, for me, would be, as Coach Busby would say back in the day, this is going to be a gut check for the Cowboys. That they need to, this is a win they need to get against a organization that's kind of in a mess. And I'll even go gut check for the Raiders. So we'll just call this the gut check bowl. Both of these teams are fighting through some things, and a win would be very great for either team to keep them in the race and establish what they can do for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And it's rumored that you mentioned Smith. Smith, the offensive lineman for the Cowboys, he is rumored to be back for today's game.
They need him.
Yeah, they need him. And I know I read something somewhere that that Dak Prescott's completion percentage rises when Smith is on the line. So
I would hope so.
Yeah, so I think he needs that protection. And so
that big joker, yes.
Yes.
I would feel good going into the club with him as my bodyguard. Like, you should feel confident with him out there.
Yeah. So hopefully that will be a boost for the team. CeeDee Lamb just received an update about him and the concussion protocol. Not official yet if he's starting or not. Personally, I hope he doesn't, because the calculator gave away a nice pickup for this week in fantasy, and I want to utilize it. But CeeDee Lamb may come back. He may come back. They may get him out there today. If I was Dallas, I'd just wait another week. Short week. Just give him another 10 days before he comes back out. But for the playoff stretch, you don't need him against the Raiders. You know what I mean? So, but those are some of the changes that are happening right now. So we got to keep an eye on those things for the updates. But yes, Cowboys Raiders, you mentioned it. Playoff implications are here. The Raiders are hanging on, trying to make sure they're remain in the AFC picture. The Cowboys, they need to watch out, because my father's team and a lot of my cousins that live in Philadelphia, they are super excited right now. They're even talking the Eagles to the Super Bowl, but of course they're fans, so they're going to say that. But the Eagles are winning some games here, and they're running the ball very well against all their opponents they ran across the last couple of weeks. And so Dallas needs to, get some more wins here, and do that before the Eagles, mess around and get back into the divisional race with them. So, I think Dallas will take this one today, though.
Well, I don't think the Eagles will get back into the divisional way. I'll say this: if the Cowboys allow that to happen, they should be ashamed, because they're the more talented team. But as far as the Eagles, and I know that's not a topic. Jalen Hurts and our buddy Rob, he talks of Hurts actually all the time. Jalen Hurts is playing pretty damn decent at quarterback, much better than I thought he would play. And look, I can't even lie. If you're asking me, and I know one guy's in his second year, one guy's in his first year, but if you ask me who the better quarterback is, and let's just go with any of them, who would you rather have right now? Hurts, Wilson, Fields, and I might even throw Lawrence in there. Right now, you would probably take Hurts over those 3 guys, if you're being honest, and you ain't looking at the pedigree and all of this other stuff and draft status. So good job by Philadelphia that they've been able to get this out here.
Yeah. And Jalen Hurts, and again, since you did bring up the Eagles and Hurts, Hurts has been putting a hurting on a lot of people, especially with his legs. And the Saints can attest to that. But look at these matchups coming up. I mean, there's some good favorable matchups there for Jalen Hurts down the stretch. And so, yeah, Dallas needs to watch out. They don't need to slow down. They don't need to look over their shoulder, because the Eagles are not far behind.
No, definitely not. The Eagles, this has been a productive season, I think, for them as far as building for the future. Like we're kind of talking about the Chicago and Detroit series. Detroit is, I'm sorry, the Eagles are building for the future, but then they're actually still being competitive and putting themselves in a position where they could possibly make the playoffs too. So that's a win-win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about that, Zach. All right. The third matchup for today. Now, this is after everybody pretty much had dinner and probably fell asleep, took their good nap, waking up, might have a little bit of a stomach growl and want to make those turkey sandwiches. But this is an important game tonight, though. And it's in New Orleans. The Buffalo Bills, they are at the New Orleans Saints tonight. And I just want to get a take from you on Zach, from you, Zach, on this. Who you got, the Buffalo Bills or the New Orleans Saints?
And here we go again. The Bills were my pick to make it to the Super Bowl. And right now that pick looks really, really bad. I think part of the issue is, and this is where it comes up, that I enjoy being right, but sometimes you don't want to be right. Josh Allen and Nick Wright has been on this kind of all week, but we've talked about this before. Josh Allen is a roller coaster. Like it's his highs and his potential, or as they like to say, the ceiling. His ceiling is really, really high. If he could go out there and play at his A level all the time, it's great. But when Josh Allen plays bad, he plays bad. Like he plays bad. And that's the thing with him. And I don't get organization. I will say it again. I don't know why organization, and this is just becoming a thing now. Franchise tag. It's great for players. It's great for coaches, but everybody wants to rush. Like big ups to Mel Tucker at Michigan State. He just got a 10-year, $95 million contract that he just signed. Oh, and look at you. You are already on it. But I just want you to think about this. He just got that after losing 56-7 or 56-14 to Ohio State. This is what you signed up for the next 10 years. And you gave him $9.5 million. So good for him. I don't ever want to hear these colleges talk about they can't pay these kids. And we go back to Josh Allen. They gave him this big contract in the offseason. And that's fine. But when you give it to him, you have to kind of know that he's the guy. And I think we go with the or at least I put out the theory that the over-under for a head coach or a quarterback to win a Super Bowl is 0.5. And once they get to one Super Bowl, they've done everything that your organization could realistically expect them to do. And this is going to sound crazy, but just look at some of the teams. Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay, your franchise, Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. It's been really good, but they have you that one Super Bowl, and it just happens. I won't go as much as Pat Mahomes, but at least Andy Reid. Andy Reid has been an excellent coach for a long time. One Super Bowl win. And I say that to say, getting to that one is really difficult. And you put all your eggs in the Josh Allen basket, when I thought Josh Allen got a lot better last year because they brought in Diggs, not just because Josh Allen was just so much better. I would like to tell you that the Bills will win this game, but I don't know what I'm going to get out of Josh Allen, and I don't necessarily want to back off my Super Bowl pick as of now because it's still plenty of time to go. Injuries are going to happen, but it's going to be hard seeing Josh Allen go beat any of these guys just the way he is so inconsistent. And I think we discuss that more in the NBA than we do in football. But that's why Kobe Bryant is a superstar, because Kobe Bryant will go out there and get you 25, 26 every night, and he brings the A-level defense. Same with LeBron. LeBron gets you the 27, 6-6, or 7-7, or whatever, and he did that for the longest. Anthony Davis, when he's actually on the court, is who he is, though he is consistently, inconsistently healthy. and you can do that with Embiid, but you kind of know what you're going to get with those guys from a superstar level instead of this up and down. And Josh Allen, the Bills have put all their eggs in the basket with him. However he goes is how the team goes. So I'll take the Saints today just because I have more stability in their organization. And we'll see what happens from there.
Okay, so you're taking the Saints. And what I'm gonna take on this matchup, Zach, is I do think that I agree. Buffalo, they came out looking like they are, were going to be Super Bowl contenders, and like they was going to actually be one of the favorites to actually make it to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But now of late, what we're starting to see is that chink in the armor there, and it goes back to consistency that you were saying about the quarterback, but also the lack thereof of a consistent running game. I mean, who is the running back for the Bills? Who's the guy that can stabilize this thing a little bit? You know what I mean? And so now Matt Breida looks like he's going to be in the backfield. Singletary wasn't really doing a whole lot. So to me, what I'm looking for tonight is to see if Buffalo can establish the run, and not with Josh Allen's running stats, but with the true running back, and see if they can kind of eat up some clock. They do have an opportunity here because Alvin Kamara is going to be out. He's not playing again. Ingram, the backup running back, the one they just signed from the Texans, he looks like he's limping around too now. So if you can't beat the Saints tonight, couple that with the bad loss to Jacksonville, couple that with the horrible defensive performance against the Colts last week, things are starting to spiral. And I know we're going to talk about it later on about who we think the favorites are in the AFC. But Buffalo is definitely not. We can go ahead and give that spoiler. I don't think they're the favorites on our list.
No. The way they're playing right now, you can't see them winning 3 straight games in the playoffs to win the Super Bowl, or at least winning 2. Look, here's the real travesty, and I didn't bring it up. The New England Patriots are leading the division. That should be criminal for Buffalo. But here's the thing, and you talked about the running game. Which teams actually want to establish the running game now? Because when you invest so much into the quarterback, it seems teams to a degree go away from that. Right. And Buffalo, like we tend to forget that football is as they say, ultimate team sport. And they need to maybe look at it a little different and take some of it away from what's his face, as you're saying. Take a little bit of the game plan off of Josh Allen's shoulders. But I'm with you. They should win tonight, but will they win?
Good question. All right, and there you go. Don't look out. Don't look out for this team right here, the Patriots. They're working their way back in, and as you stated, look, they're leading.
And our producers are great. Yeah, I would say the producers are great. They just got everything up there today. Look, do we got the winning lotto numbers for this weekend? Because they just give me everything right now.
Well, I don't think the producer's going to share that number. That sequence of numbers there, but it may be somewhere. They have to stay tuned for that.
Okay. But,
yes, but those are the matchups for today, and so hope you all enjoy those matchups, and except for the first one, but the other two should be interesting.
Enjoy that too, but as you said, maybe you got a little Black Mafia family on.
Yes.
First episode of Baby Power. Maybe you got that.
All right.
They had Tate on there. I know we didn't get into but yes, if you haven't seen it yet, I still feel like I feel about it. I'll just say this. Probably the real problem is the show isn't as poorly written as maybe as I criticized it before. It's just that Tyreek, he can't be the lead. He's just not a lead character for a show. And I think that is the issue. Yeah, that's the issue. Like he needs to be in the role like he was in Power, where he is a supporting character. Like everybody can't be LeBron.
No,
other people got to play. Some people got to be Cal Korver.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we're going to jump into the NFC, AFC right quickly, and we'll talk
Okay.
about who we think the best teams are. So, who is the best team in the NFC, Zach?
Well, I think you and I have this the same. So I will give you mine real quick and I'll let you go in on it. But I have Green Bay being the best team in the NFC. And I'm saying it because as much as he has frustrated me, Aaron Rodgers, when he's at his best, and we're talking about like the Josh Allen at his best, when Aaron Rodgers is at his best, he is, oh my God. Okay. And I'm not a court, but he is really, really good when he's at his best. It just so happens that best that hasn't been in the playoffs as you would like. But during the regular season, he definitely can get it done. And Matt LaFleur has actually proven to be a pretty solid coach so far. And then if you look beyond Aaron Rodgers as a team, Packers have a pretty good team. If you notice, I'm going to say that I think 6 or 7 starters, but I don't quote me on that number. They've been without some of their players though, and they've still been able to go get some wins. So I would have them there right now.
Okay, well, we can keep the graphic up because I agree that the best team in the NFC as of Thanksgiving Day is the Green Bay Packers, and this is a team that's been in the NFC Championship game as recent as last season. They fell they lost in the NFC Championship game at home to Tampa Bay, the team that eventually won the Super Bowl. They were in the NFC Championship game, I believe, the year before, if my memory serves me correctly. Didn't they? I think it was against San Francisco, maybe. Where they lost that.
Yes, so they got mollywopped at San Francisco.
Right. So there you go. So I mean, the Packers are continuing that trend, and if it follows suit, they'll be back in the NFC Championship game. They have depth at running back. AJ Dillon, he'll fill right in. Jones went out with an injury, so they have the key components. Yes. They have depth at running back. They have the elite quarterback. They have an All-Pro / elite receiver. They have good coaching. They have a nice home field advantage type of situation up in Green Bay.
Well, Tom Brady might tell you that it's not that big of an advantage. Well, yes, historically, yes.
Yeah, so I think Green Bay right now is the best team. I do think that Tampa is in the mix, but I think that Green Bay is the better team. I think they're across the board the better team in football, right? In the NFC right now. What about the AFC, Zach?
Well, and just to piggyback on what you just said, like if you look at it from a talent perspective and kind of how the teams are playing, then yes, Green Bay is. I think what you're looking at when you talk about Tampa Bay is you're going with those things that you can't measure. It's kind of the intangibles. Because if you take Tom Brady and you take Aaron Rodgers and you were to go through a pre-draft combine, or forget pre-draft combine, if you just take them out there and you say, hey, we're gonna put you guys on auction and let you display your skills, Aaron Rodgers would win that probably for the past 10 years. He's winning that competition every time. But when you start talking about getting on the field and actually playing and you're in the heat of the battle or whatever it is Tom Brady has, say you flipped him last year and Aaron Rodgers is on Tampa Bay's team and Tom Brady is on Green Bay. I would think most people probably say Green Bay would win the Super Bowl and Tampa Bay would have lost. So I think that's what you're saying when you get in the thing of Green Bay, and that's how it is, and really Aaron Rodgers. But I agree with you. They have no reason not to make it to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. All right. Well, AFC.
For me in the AFC, and this will sound like a broken record, but I'll just make it easy. I'm going with Kansas City, and Andy Reid is an excellent coach. I'm not going to say he's the best coach in the AFC, but he's in that mix with Mike Tomlin and Bill Belichick. And look, here we go again. Patrick Mahomes has been playing to a degree an undisciplined brand of football, and some of that has been because he's been allowed to do it. But they have Chris Jones back on the defensive line, so that has solidified things. And Tyreek Hill, oh my God. I would say this about too many people, but he would be extremely difficult to guard. Like this is gonna sound crazy. I'd almost rather guard Chris Carter, Michael Irvin, and damn Jerry Rice over Tyreek Hill. And that will sound crazy, people, but at least with them, I would know I can run with them. With Tyreek Hill, you can't run with him, and you have to put in special defenses for him, because if you don't, then he gets those 200, 300-yard games where he's just running everywhere. You're like, what the F? So I have them right now. And in part, it would go to that you have teams like Buffalo not performing up to expectation. You're going to talk about them, and I don't mean to steal your thunder, but the Titans have lost Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry is like their sledgehammer. Then we can go with the other teams. Raiders have come back to earth, unfortunately. Chargers, I'm not all in on that Justin Herbert train. And Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, we can say have underperformed on our expectations. So for me, it'd be Kansas City or the New England. And if Bill Belichick finds a way to make the Super Bowl with what's old boy out of Alabama?
Oh, Matt
quarterback.
Jones?
Oh, it is. Yes, Mac Jones. Then he deserves all kind of accolade. So for me, it's just Kansas City by process of elimination.
Okay. All right. Well, you remember when we was in chemistry class back in ninth grade, I believe. Yeah, chemistry class, and
that was probably 10th grade.
10th grade, yeah. We got caught.
No, actually 11th.
No, it couldn't have been 11th.
No, you mean physical science.
Physical science. There you go.
Yes, that's was right. 9th grade.
Okay, yeah, 9th grade physical science class, and we was taking a test, right? And somebody on this screen here, or some bodies on the screen here.
No, we'll go somebody.
Was sharing answers, right? And
yes,
and then the teacher called us, and we both get a 0, right? So so this is what we're doing here. I mean, the first was Green Bay, right? And we had the same answer. Well, got the same answer here, which is Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, and it's funny that it's the Chiefs, Zach, because they were struggling. They've been struggling, but at the same time, they were still getting W's, and that part of that is because of who they were playing. No doubt about it. They had a couple opponents in there where they can afford to play bad but still get a couple wins in. But now they're starting to, get some more traction here and starting to, get a little bit better at things. And the defense is actually playing a little better.
Yes.
And if that's the case, if their offense can get back to really clicking, I don't see how they don't come out the AFC at this point. They're definitely not the team that I selected to go to the Super Bowl initially out of the AFC. But as we're talking about today, I have to roll with the Chiefs as well. So we both have the same answer there. Good thing we're not in chemistry class. So it's okay now.
And I like what you said, that teams have let the Chiefs off the hook, because they should have, like during this time frame, they should have been putting distance between themselves and the Chiefs to make it so that the Chiefs are going to have to go on the road. And, they get themselves together a little bit better, they might end up with the 1 seed. Now, you get some luck in that you got the COVID game against Green Bay, but look, it's football. You kind of make your own luck. Injuries happen, things happen. I'm with you. They let the Chiefs up off. They had you had the Chiefs down. You kind of Tyson Fury and what's
Wilder.
His name? Yes. Hey, and I'll go the other way. Tyson Fury whacked Wilder, and then Wilder came back, if you remember that, and he knocked Fury down, and knocked Fury down twice, and he had him. Like he had him, but he got up off the mat, and then that was it. And that's the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs are Fury, and everybody else, they had him down, had him on the knee, got him to a 2 count, 2 knockdowns, and It looks like the Chiefs are standing up. They shook the cobwebs off, and they ready to go now.
Yes, sir. All right.
And yes, I'm glad we're not in physical science class because that was pretty embarrassing.
All right. Well, the Chiefs are ready to go, and Zach, we are ready to. And our sponsor's ready to go right now. Our number one sponsor is Heavenly Spa Mobile, as you see at the bottom of the screen there, 2484 Ingleside Avenue, Building A, Suite 101A, Macon, Georgia 31204. LaTanya can be reached at 478-747-9231. 478-747-9231. Heavenly Spa Mobile, and as LaTanya loves to say, where relaxation is the key. And if you don't believe me, or if you don't believe Zach about this, listen to LaTanya herself.
Hi, I'm LaTanya with Heavenly Spa Mobile. I'm a licensed massage therapist and owner. I've been practicing 18 years. If you're in need of any stress relief, tension, muscle, body aches, or just want to relax, you need to get yourself a massage. And please come check me out again at Heavenly Spa Mobile. I'm located at 2484 Ingleside Avenue. And I can be reached at 478-747-9231. Or you may go online to heavenlyspamobile.com. I look forward to seeing you soon.
She's wonderful. And I must say there, Mr. 401, you do a great job of reading that. We need to get more sponsors so you can get them some advertisements out there, because you got to be bringing people over there to Old Heavenly Spa Mobile. So great job.
Well, thank you, Zach. But great job to Heavenly Spa Mobile, by the way. They are the Best of Georgia nominee.
LaTanya's awesome.
Yep. And not only that, Zach, check out the intro special. It's only $70. And that's for first-time clients. I mean,
do we count as first time?
Probably not at this point, but 60 minutes though. Swedish or deep tissue massage. And so if you want to, if you haven't checked her out, check out Heavenly Spa Mobile, and all the information's on the show. So check her out, Heavenly Spa Mobile. That's our number one sponsor, where relaxation is the key.
Amen.
All right. Okay, Zach, we talked about the teams that we feel are going to that are the best in the NFC and AFC. But now we need to talk about, something similar to ourselves, the underdogs, the ones that people have counted out, but, we came back strong, though. And so in the NFL, there's a lot of teams that could be under consideration for being underrated. But I want to get your take, and then I'll give you mine. But what's the most underrated team in the NFL?
They may not be as underrated since they just beat Green Bay, but for me, it's the Minnesota Vikings. And we spoke about them, I want to say a month and change ago, when they were getting ready to play Seattle, and how dangerous they could be. Part of the reason I think Minnesota gets underrated is because of their quarterback. Kirk Cousins is and didn't get a photo of him, so apologize for that. But he's a kind of nondescript guy, and he's a little quirky, so it's hard to rally behind him. And I guess from an NFL standpoint, postseason, he hasn't had much success. And when that's the guy that's the poster child for your organization or the face of your organization, you're not going to get taken as seriously. But when you start looking at some of the other pieces of it, and you just go from a team concept, they have one of the best running backs in the NFL, probably the second best running back behind Derrick Henry. They have two outstanding wide receivers in Jefferson and
Thielen. Yep.
Thielen, yes, Thielen. Really good. Offensive line is solid. And from a defensive standpoint, Minnesota has kind of built their reputation from way, way back in the day with the Purple People Eaters of. They usually always try to play pretty good defense. So they are, I wouldn't call them a 500 team, but they're a team that should be in 9-10 wins. And I think sneaking to the playoffs now, I guess it's self-serving because I had them in the playoffs to start this season. But they don't get too much hype or too much publicity. But I would think if you go up against them in the playoffs, you would be concerned just because on all levels they're pretty decent.
Yeah, and on any given night, the Vikings can get a victory. They can beat you.
Most definitely.
Yes, that's a very good one. The team that I have is most underrated, and it's not necessarily by record, but it's more of an expectation type thing.
No,
but it's Tennessee Titans I would go with, because Tennessee, I mean, who would have thought that Tennessee would be near the top of the AFC, and the way they have, and then with them losing Derrick Henry, who, by the way, I think you projected to be the MVP of the league, and him going down with that injury for the remainder of the season, and for Tennessee to still get wins in there, even though they just recently had a bad loss, but they still are getting wins and they're still in the playoff picture. I think Tennessee is the underrated team. I still think they're going to rely on running the football, and I think they'll continue to make a playoff push. And that is in spite of Julio Jones not really being healthy this season.
Did anybody predict that Julio Jones would be healthy? I wonder. Did anybody on this show think that?
Exactly, but for Tennessee to sign him and put him in the starting lineup, and then they obviously thought he would at least be out there.
Well,
but
they didn't see Atlanta play football for the past like 5-6 years. Obviously,
okay. Well, maybe that's it, Zach. Maybe that was
ain't no game film on the Falcons from that time frame.
Yeah, and also AJ, and also the other receiver, AJ Brown, he's a Julio Jones clone, dude, if you will, physically. I mean, he's a big guy, and that's another big receiver.
Like, to throw one in there. Was watching the game on Sunday, and they did a close up of him, and I was just like, "Holy!" We go not say that he is huge, and he's a wide receiver. But here's the thing: not only is he huge, he can run.
He's fast,
And I want to say, how was Ole Miss getting stopped when they had him and DK Metcalf there? Whoever the head coach, I think it was Hugh Freeze, right? Probably. Hugh Freeze should be ashamed of himself, because them dudes, who's lining up against them?
He had two monsters at receiver, Zach. Two monsters there in Ole Miss at receiver. Two monsters.
Like, they are some huge human beings that can run. They literally could be tight ends.
Yes, sir. Well, look, man,
gracious.
Yes, but those are the underrated teams, in our opinion. If you have underrated teams, come on, chime in. We don't mind. You can chime in, or you can post it later when we air the show later on some of our other social media outlets.
Yes, most definitely.
All right, Zach. It's been football heavy. We have something coming up in a little bit about LeBron James. It's coming up soon, ladies and gentlemen. We want y'all to hang in there about it, but we
can't wait to hear what you have to say.
But we both have something to say about that. But it's coming up soon, ladies and gentlemen. All right, but we're gonna transition to the college game. I'm glad you mentioned what could have been at Ole Miss with those receivers, but the college football playoff rankings were revealed, and so Zach, with you being our college football expert and being the being just that deep, rooted college football guy, you, Zach, being that all-world defensive back.
Which defensive end? That would have been great.
Yeah. You would have been playing on Sunday, Zach. But
much easier to play defensive end.
Yes. But with all that said, Zach, all right, the teams have been announced so far for this, at this point. You have Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Oklahoma State. But let's just say it was up to you to decide. What would be your answer, Zach?
Well, that right there you see flashing across the screen is my answer. I think they have right now. They got Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, and then Cincinnati. But I think we will get a better idea in a couple weeks of course, after everything is played, as far as who is who. Now, here's the real scary thought. I'm going to say this, and everybody is probably going to look at me crazy or whatever. Alabama's probably the best team in the nation. And let me pull it up. I got it from our buddy Orion, and he went off of sent it out. If you look at strength of schedule, and it looks like, and this is what people don't look at, because unlike the NFL where you can where everybody kind of plays everyone, so the teams are comparative. You know this in college football, you play all these various teams, and you have your cream puffs and everything that is hard to say. But right now, Alabama's strength of schedule is 21st. Georgia's strength of schedule is 42nd. Ohio State's strength of schedule is 63rd. So yes, Alabama has that bad loss against A&M, but they've had a tough road to hoe, as they would say. And we will have to see how it plays out. So as a Georgia fan, this is Kirby's chance to win a national championship, because Alabama has taken a step back, as I said they would in the beginning of the season, just from all the NFL caliber individuals they've lost. When you look at, not only did they lose NFL caliber players, but they lost guys that are starting the NFL. That will affect your team. But if I had to put my money, and I hope my little brother and everybody from my dad's side, they watch the show right now. But I would tell you that Alabama is probably the best team in the nation. And any Georgia fan that is poking their chest out, they think come in a week and a half that, oh, it's just going to be a cakewalk and you go mollywop Alabama. I'm not doing that. Ohio State, what they did against Michigan State was very impressive, but that would also depend on what you think against Michigan State. And even if they go out there and blow out Michigan, it'd still be, well, what do you think of Michigan? And we've kind of seen this before from Ohio State in the past. Like, for as great as Ohio State is with the talent they've got in, and I look at Joey Galloway, and he's just one of the guys. Eddie George is up for the Hall of Fame. I think he made it as a semifinalist. They have had, you know, this multitude of talent throughout the years. And yet, at least since 80s, and we can even go, I guess, if you just want to go 9, they won 2 national championships. So they do this to the Big Ten all the time. I won't be shocked. And I think a lot of people have Cincinnati as a sentimental favorite because they're the little guy. But depending on how all things play out, if Oklahoma State handles business, I would probably put them ahead of Cincinnati, just from a what you've done overall standpoint. And the Notre Dame win is good, but if that's the only real win you have, it's hard to I mean, it's a tough system because you only get 4 teams. It will be better if they definitely get to 12. So we'll have to see how that goes. And Cincinnati still has to play Houston, which I don't think that will be a cakewalk for them. But yeah, as much as I don't want to say it, and I know that doesn't depict it right there. But in about 2 weeks, if Alabama is number 1, I won't be shocked.
Yeah. All right. And guess what? We have to say hello to Cynthia Moore. We thank her for her comments. I believe she's out of the Albany, Georgia area right now, and she took the time to watch the show and also comment, Zach. And believe it or not, Zach, she's in agreement with you. She agrees that Alabama is the best team.
Well, she's probably an Alabama fan, so she's probably an Alabama fan, so that doesn't count.
Well, we'll find out.
When do Alabama fans not think they're the best team, though? Historical data probably proves.
Yeah, but you did bring up something too, Zach. And Cynthia, we thank you for your comments.
Yes, Cynthia, thank you.
And happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well.
Happy Thanksgiving.
But come on. But strength of schedule, you mentioned that, Zach. What would one say about Georgia's strength of schedule? Do you believe they have a strong schedule this year?
Look.
And I'm asking you because you are more of a realistic Georgia fan.
Look,
you're more realistic Georgia fan.
The real deal was when the season started, and Orion and I went over this a few times. I already felt Georgia was going 11-1 or 12-0 based on the Clemson game. Like that was a swing game. Beat Clemson, you go 12-0. Don't beat Clemson, you go 11-1. And it's to the point now where it's at basically next week, Georgia won't have to win the SEC to make the college football playoffs. Like as long as they don't go out and get beat like 50-7. If the game is I'm gonna go if it's a 20-point game, even if they lose by 20, which I don't think that will happen, they make it. Whereas if you had lost to Clemson and now you go 11-2, go 11-1, don't win the SEC, then you get booted. So yeah, their schedule, it's the University of Georgia. There's only a few teams out there that look like the University of Georgia they have to worry about. One is in Tuscaloosa, we know that. LSU, when LSU is running on all cylinders. Ohio State, and then I would probably tell you Clemson when they're running on all cylinders. Outside of that, Georgia is usually going to have a talent advantage against any team they play. And I would tell you right now, I think they play Oregon the first game of next season. Okay, so it's going to be the same thing. Well, will it? Because Oregon's going to lose that. They're going to lose that defensive end, my guess is, because he'll be top 5 in the NFL. But Georgia's going to go 11-1 or 12-0 next year if they win that game, because they're just better than everybody. So this is kind of, to me, they're at that LeBron point. Do you win the championship or do you not win the championship? Now, I'll give Kirby credit in the sense that he has outperformed my expectations this year. That if he makes the CFP, that's all I expected out of that. Make the college football playoff. If he somehow wins the SEC and beats Alabama, that will be great. Now, it won't work out this way, but the worst case scenario that can happen that would be totally disappointing. Georgia wins the SEC, and let's say they thump Alabama, and then they go to the CFP and don't win the title. That is the worst case scenario. Or I guess you could throw in 1B or 1A worst case scenario. You lose to Alabama in the SEC championship, make it to the playoffs, have to play Ohio State, beat Ohio State, get a rematch against Alabama in the national championship, and lose again. But yeah, they haven't done anything I didn't expect them to do as of right now. If they beat Alabama and win the SEC championship, I will be thoroughly impressed by Kirby, and I may have to change my narrative on him.
All right. Well, speaking of a narrative, there is one that was set just a couple nights ago. I believe it was Sunday night in Detroit, in the Motor City. The Lakers, my favorite team in the NBA, Los Angeles Lakers.
With your favorite player.
We're at the Detroit Pistons, and LeBron James and Isaiah Stewart, they were jockeying for position.
That is a terrible picture. Like that picture looks horrible. Zach.
Well,
but that looks what it is. That makes it look horrible. Yes.
All right. Well, they was battling for rebounding position, and then there was contact with an elbow from LeBron, and then a whole lot of other stuff, was a result after that. But Zach, I want to get your take on this incident, and we'll both discuss it. But the elbow/fist incident in that matchup. Complete the sentence for me.
I'm gonna say, like everybody else has been using the word dirty, I'm not gonna use dirty. I'm gonna say cheap. And I'm gonna say it's cheap because it's like this. Like to me, dirty is okay. We're just I know what I'm doing is wrong, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it this way because I just want to do it and go whatever. Like roughing the passer on a quarterback, but say like a real roughing the passer, like you go 3 or 4 steps late, like I'm just gonna hit you anyway. Dirty. That is just straight up dirty. Now I say cheap because when I say cheap, it's like say you got a fly on your head or your back or something, whatever. I've been wanting to hit you. And so I'm going to pop you and then use the fly as an excuse. And then I was like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. It wasn't a problem. And I'm saying that's how I feel like LeBron went at it. Like he wanted to hit this dude, but instead of just straight up hitting him and I guess being the villain, or if you want to go that, hey, I'm gonna just straight up hit you, be dirty, and then stand over you and be like, what you gonna do about it? Because I'm letting you know that I did that. He went the route of, oh, it was an accident. I didn't mean to do it, blah, 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 blah. And this may be the football player in me. I don't have a problem with LeBron hitting the guy. It's more disturbing to me that LeBron has been in the league as many years as he's been in. And I'm not going to be like some people and talk about LeBron's plan. Because from where he started in life to where he is now, he has done a great job of putting himself in a financial position and elevating his basketball status. And I think regardless of what anyone says about him, he is probably at least, I think everybody would say, a top 5 player all time. And if you don't want to go top 5, you definitely have to say top 10. So to be in the top 10 of all players that have played the game is great. But there's just something to me that he's played all these years. He hasn't gotten in a fight with one person. And maybe he doesn't want to hurt anybody. But I got excited when I saw that it come across that LeBron got ejected because he got in a fight. I was just, yes, thank you. Finally, he said, I'm going to put the wood to somebody. Then I look at it and I'm like, he's just so disappointing to me, man, because the dude is like 6'8", 250, and he's just kind of so unmanly in how he goes about doing stuff. Great basketball player, great talent. He is, anybody should want him on the team. But if you told me right now, if you said you and LeBron are getting locked in the room and only one of y'all is coming out, I'm not sure you ain't got a 50-50 chance to come out with LeBron. Like, because he's just so unmanly to me and the stuff or whatever. And I could just go back to the Enes Kanter statement. Enes Kanter talked about him with his China statements. And I'm not going to get the quote right now. I apologize about that. This just kind of popped in. But that talking about how LeBron is not supporting those individuals on freedom or what have you. And LeBron just said, I'm not even going to address that nonsense or whatever. And he talks about everything in social media, yet he didn't talk about this. And then he left the game the other day and he didn't talk about the fight or whatever. And I just want you to be consistent in who you are. If we'll go Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was consistently Dennis Rodman. It might have drove you crazy, but he was consistently Dennis Rodman. Ron Artest was consistently Ron Artest. And I'm not and I tell you all the time that I'm not the biggest Kobe fan as far as deifying him like all these other people do. But you know what? I also tell you that he's the one guy that you could give a blank check to, and he's going to be the same guy no matter what. And even though I was a Shaq guy and was going for Shaq when they the Lakers had the divorce, the Lakers chose White when they chose Kobe because they understood what they were getting with Kobe. And it's just with LeBron, man. Like, LeBron, why can't you just be a straight up dude, man, and say, you know what? He was getting on my nerves and I want to knock his ass out. And that's what I did. Man, I would have stood up and clapped and did whatever. And that's why I'm saying not dirty, it's cheap.
Okay. Well, let's
just shaking my head.
Yeah, okay. Well, before we go, a little further into it, we'll show a couple of clips here. And is that, if you don't mind, because the producers have to kind of step into another room. If you could just kind of, give a overview of what's about to show here between LeBron and Embiid, and that way, just in case the viewers can't quite see it, just kind of give a little description there for this. All right.
Gotcha. Let us see.
There was certainly some contact there. Embiid battling with Gasol, fights him off. Oh, and he goes down hard, lands on his back, and he's
it
hurt.
didn't show it well, but I want to say I know this clip well. I want to say LeBron pushed Embiid while he was in the air.
Bearing. I said I wanted to see him more in the post, so he attacked.
And
LeBron uses two arms to push.
As they just said, two hands to push.
That's probably going to be a play.
Now, that one I would probably say is dirty. That one, that I'm gonna say is dirty, and thankfully it didn't become anything too serious. But yeah,
goes down hard, lands on his back, and he's hurt.
Yeah, that one I would call dirty. Two hand from a basketball standpoint, and you'll have to tell me the proper etiquette, but I don't believe you push guys while they're in the air. If you want to challenge the basketball, try and block it or whatever, I'm not even sure you yank guys while they're in the air, just because even that can be an issue. So that I wouldn't call cheap. That I would say is dirty.
Okay. All right. Well, I like the way you went with, and I haven't heard this yet, but cheap versus dirty. So you have dirty, and then like underneath dirty, now you can kind of categorize things. And cheap, cheap kind of fits that. Because for one thing, I'll go ahead and put this out there. LeBron's not a dirty basketball player by no means. He's not dirty. He's, like you said earlier, he's been one of the most gentlemen in the league. Probably in the history of the league. If you're going to put a list of gentlemen in the league, he would definitely be one of them. But the decisions that he made, using that Embiid for an example, that's an airborne basketball player. And if you know anything about physics, if you're in the air, there's nothing you can do about it for yourself when you're in the air, when you're airborne. So to shove someone when you're airborne is dangerous. Depending on the severity of it, or severity of the push or the act or results of it, even that can result in an ejection in a basketball game. Luckily, in this case, no one was injured. I think they kind of moved on from it. But that decision is dangerous. Imagine if that was the other way around and LeBron James is airborne, and let's just say Patrick Beverly shoves him. You already know everything's going to be flooded about Patrick Beverly being dirty, cheap, dangerous. You don't do that. You don't. But you don't
take Patrick Beverly out. Say like Steph Curry. That could be anybody. Yeah.
Right. Anybody. Right. So we have to apply the same thing when we're talking about LeBron. I don't care if it's Kobe. I don't care if it's Michael Jordan. I don't care if it's me or you. That act is a cheap act if you want to use cheap. It's a dirty play if you want to use dirty. That's not a play that's in the game. All right. So let's put up the next video. And Zach, if you could do the same thing, being such a great narrator that you are.
Well, thank you.
Put this next one up.
And it's going.
All right.
Slowly
good?
but surely. It's going slowly but surely, but it's all good.
Okay. Well, here we go.
It's almost like LeBron was trying to free his arm and inadvertently clipped him.
Well, whatever the clip was, it
opened up a
big gash,
stream of blood.
Big gash of one Isaiah Stewart.
Inadvertently.
It wasn't going to take no for an answer.
Look,
LeBron's gone.
I'm going to just say I'm fine with LeBron hitting the dude. I really am.
And right there.
It is what it is.
Well, LeBron James started it right there. He started it.
Right here, and I agree with him. LeBron started it.
And right there. Ooh. Well, LeBron James started it right there. He started it.
Like, I'm good with it.
Another angle.
All right.
Another look.
All right. So, all right, Zach. So
it was a little choppy, but you know what?
Is that cheap or dirty?
I'm still going to say cheap, because I just feel like when you're being dirty, you are knowingly doing it when you're being dirty. Like you are doing it and you don't care about the results, and you're just kind of you want them to know,
more premeditated.
Yes. Even though I think when him being cheap, he was being premeditated too. But when you're cheap, what's the saying? Throw a rock and hide your hand. You're just trying to be sneaky or whatever with it. Now, here's the thing. Here goes LeBron's take on what happened. LeBron said there was a box out on the free throw line, and his elbow got kind of high. It got me. If you watch the film, it got me off balance a little bit, and his elbow lifted my arm. And I basically tried to swim down on him, on his arm. And when I swung down on his arm, he got off balance, and the left side of my hand grazed his face. I knew it right away. I had caught some part of his head. So I went over to apologize to him. And obviously, you guys saw what happened after that, but definitely accidental. And look, that's his take on it. I guess if you look at his track record, he doesn't have that track record, I guess, overall. So you maybe have to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll say once again, I would be mad if he was doing it on purpose. I would like LeBron better if he had said he was doing it on purpose. That he just said, I'm tired of getting treated the way I've been treated by individuals, and this is why I did what I did. I would have had no problem with it. And instead, he does this thing again, kind of like when he tweets something out when he was telling Kevin Love to fit in. Oh, I wasn't talking about Kevin. Like it's always or whatever. Instead of, dude, just be straight up, man. I like authenticity, or I should say I respect authenticity. Even if it's wrong, I can respect it. But here's the thing too, and I will say this. Don't nobody come at LeBron. Like for whatever everybody might want to say and how he conduct his business. And I know Skip Bayless and other people tried to say, ain't nobody afraid of LeBron. I ain't seen nobody. I guess the other day was the closest that I've seen anybody come at LeBron. And I will just say this for Isaiah Stewart. He was right in LeBron's face in the beginning, and nobody was all around him. If he really wanted a piece of LeBron, he could have got a piece of LeBron right then and there. And he didn't want to get a piece of LeBron, I guess, until you go, A, the blood started trickling down, or B, people got in between him and LeBron. But I know back in the day when they loved talking about 80s basketball or 90s basketball, dudes got into fights immediately. And they had security and all that stuff then. So if he'd have wanted LeBron, he could have got LeBron.
Yeah. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you, Ms. Beulah Dukes.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
Family right there. Glad you're watching the show. We appreciate you. And Zach, as far as going back to that play, okay, we saw the second video. As you can see, LeBron, and what we call this in officiating is sizing up the players. You can see where LeBron turns his head. He has a visual of where the head is. Now, initially, when I first saw the video and didn't get any of these additional clips, I did think that he was just wild with it. Like he know he's there, but he probably thought he might have got, might hit him in the chest area. So that's my initial thought on that, was like, okay, the act was bad. Violently swinging your elbows, things like that, and your fists. And but maybe he was going to just end up hitting him in the chest. You know what I'm saying? Like I've done that to my son before. You know what I'm saying? Like boom in the chest, keep things moving. I'm not going to go boom to the head. Don't
hurt him, CPS.
And keep on moving. Right. Well, it wasn't a major boom. If anybody's out there listening, it was just a boom. Okay, so please nobody come get me. But if you go back just look at that again, ladies and gentlemen. He turns his head after he's being shoved, and it's irritating. I understand that, but he's shoving too. And if you watch NBA games, just go back and watch some more games. You're going to see players jockeying and pushing like that. I mean, they've been doing it for decades, and LeBron's been doing it for decades as well. And so it's nothing new there. But yes, he probably was irritated. I get that part. And he is an older player now. You have the younger guys. I get that. When you get older in the league, you get a little surly. You get some things just upset you a little faster than it did when it was a younger player. And so, he turned and LeBron, but you can look at it. He turns, he's looking, he knows now where the head and neck area is, and he swings his elbow anyway. So for one thing, the act of what he did, and when you swing your elbow faster than you turn your body, that is illegal in basketball. And there's no way around that. When you swing your elbow faster than you pivot your body, here's an example of a rebound and you pivot. See how I'm turning my body? That's legal. This is not legal. That's not legal. That's not legal. A fist is not legal. What do you do in basketball that requires you to use your fists?
Not a damn thing.
Exactly. So fist is ball, boom, it hits him in the face. Now, he did say, as you read earlier, you stated earlier, accidental. He didn't mean to hit the man in the face, right? If he's saying that, but he still hit him in the face. What they call
he meant to hit him. He didn't mean to hit him in the face. He damn sure meant to hit him, probably neck and below.
Right. And he probably meant to just get him in the chest. But when you have a closed fist, when you swing your elbow faster than you turn your body, those are illegal acts. He's played basketball since he's been little King James. So he's played all the way through AAU circuits, middle school, high school, college. Sorry, not college. Let me rewind that. But professionally,
You're good.
Right? For the United States of America, he's played in FIBA. He's played the international play, Olympics. So he's played enough basketball to know that those two acts are illegal. LeBron is smart. He's arguably one of the smartest players who ever played a game. He can call out your plays when you're running your plays. He remembers everything. So I'm not going to try to spin it no other way, that he knew what he was doing. And now the result of the act was worse than what he anticipated being.
Yes.
And now the league has no choice but to act on that as far as suspending him for a game. And then we move on from there. But we don't need to try to dress it up. LeBron doesn't need to dress it up. Just say, hey, I made a mistake. I went too far with what I did. That's not the result I intended it for it to be. And then we move on. That's all you got to say. All this lifting me up and all that. You 280 pounds, lifting up and all that kind of stuff. That's all. That's all just, trash. That's not what it is. And I'm just saying this regardless of who the player is. That is not legal what he did. Everybody need to move on from that. Don't try to spin it no other direction. Just call it what it is and let's move on. Now, for Isaiah Stewart, the way he reacted, he deserved a suspension too. I mean, he about to cause a melee out there. But this is why I go with that, Zach. Now he's inciting. He's inciting. His act is inciting others.
I'm gonna say I'm going to say for me. With Isaiah Stewart, because I feel kind of this way. If I walk up and slap you in your face, at that point, you have the right to do whatever you want to do because you are emotionally charged. Now, the only thing that I kind of would blame the NBA. Like, if you didn't want this guy doing this, y'all should have grabbed him, took him to the ground. Hey, if you got to put handcuffs on him, do whatever. But he was emotionally charged. I don't feel like you should be penalized when and for the listeners out there, I'll just go if I'm a woman and you come up and grab my booty. And if I knock you upside your head or whatever, how are you going to put me in jail because I hit you because you grab my ass as a woman and now I'm getting in trouble? Like, if you hadn't grabbed me, I wouldn't have hit you. And that's all I'm saying with Stewart. Like,
okay,
he was running around like a madman.
yes,
Tackle him to the ground.
yes,
Tackle him to the ground and put handcuffs
who's gonna
on
tackle
him.
him? But who's gonna tackle him?
They had security there.
Right.
I could have tackled. I could have tackled him.
Okay, but guess what, Zach? I understand your opinion on that, right? But you use the word feel, right? You feel that. I get that. He has a right to react the way he did, but the game also has a right to penalize.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying is what he did at that point. Like, if we go back to what we were saying earlier, he had a chance immediately to jump on him and on LeBron right away, boom. But he did not. Now he probably licked his wounds, and then he saw blood, and now he's like seeing red, literally. And so at that point, it's like, okay, he's going bonkers. All right. But he still had time in there somewhere to be like, okay, all right, I'm out. I need to back off of this. And what I'm saying as far as inciting, if you look at some of the other players, now they're starting to get into some things, and now they're gonna, like, it could have turned into something. It could have turned to a real brawl, like at that point, because now other people gonna start getting involved because of what the actions that he's having. Like, maybe somebody on his team comes to his rescue, but now somebody from LeBron's team is like protecting him, and now those guys get into it, and now somebody else getting into it because they team it into it. Now it turns into a melee, and that's all I'm saying about that. So, like, he deserves some kind of punishment for what he did too. You know what I'm saying? It's bad. It's not fair. It's not fair because he didn't necessarily start it, but he does deserve something out of that. You can't just send him to the bench or to the back and then move on from it. He got to get something.
Well, tell me this. Then what about baseball then? Because why do we not worry about melees in baseball then? I see baseball players fight all the time, and pitchers literally will throw a ball that they get up and train to throw that would be considered a weapon at another player. Excuse me. Bench is clear. Why are we not worried about a melee with them?
Well, I'm not saying we're not worried about a melee.
Because I don't ever hear this talk in baseball when guys act crazy or do all this other stuff. Why is it specifically with basketball?
Well, today it's because we're talking about an incident that happened in a basketball game. So I guess I'm giving my perspective from the basketball.
Well, I'm saying whenever these incidents come up, the basketball incidents, or even if you want to go football, are always seen so worse, and it's always potentially what could have happened.
Okay, that's a whole nother topic. I get you on that, but that's a whole nother thing to discuss. But just on this incident, like, he was inciting now at this point, and that's why I'm saying he should get some sort of punishment too.
Well,
I'm not saying this right or wrong in comparison to other sports. You know what I mean? But like in baseball, they do come off, and usually they come off and they stare down, and then they move on. But if somebody that's coming out on the field in baseball, and now he goes jump on somebody else and start brawling with them, then in my opinion, that the players that get in there and start inciting and doing other stuff, they should get punishment too. They shouldn't just walk away from
it. And I would just say self-defense, and he tried to go after one player. Like he could have, like, you want to talk like it even if he wasn't raged, he didn't go after Anthony Davis, he didn't go after Westbrook. Like, he could have just started punching any of the Laker players.
Right.
He didn't do that. He specifically wanted to go after one guy. And I'll pull your kind of theory up that you were talking about. What if somebody had did whatever to LeBron? If that was LeBron running around like that after he had been hit or whatever, would the feeling be the same? Because
for me, yes. For me, I can only answer for myself in this yes. Because if he got elbowed, if LeBron was elbowed and he saw red, and then he started chasing down the player, the person that did it, trying to run through other people and did the exact same thing, then LeBron should get a punishment too, in my opinion. So yeah, it should have been the same. It doesn't matter the name. It's all about the act in this case. To me,
I don't like free shots. Like, I don't like that somebody gets to take a free shot. You're the person that gets hit. and then you're supposed to be the bigger person, and the other individual gets off. Because even with that, LeBron got one game. So if the NBA wants to clean this up, and they're talking about then for throwing a punch or doing whatever, to me, 10 games. Regardless of whatever, you throw a punch, you have any kind of flagrant two or anything that is deemed to be, we'll say, like on purpose or intentional. Would intentional be the thing? 10 games. Just go on and do 10 games, and then that way, when a guy like Isaiah Stewart does whatever, now he doesn't have to run around and act crazy. But LeBron James got to hit him, and he got a game for it. That doesn't seem. If I was Isaiah Stewart, it will do me proud. I'll say this: it will do me proud. I think they play Sunday, right? It will do me proud if Isaiah Stewart goes out there and he is guarding LeBron and he just punches LeBron straight in the face. So, are you going to keep Isaiah Stewart from playing when they play the Lakers? And let me make sure when they play it again, because I think I want to say they play again soon. So Mr. Referee, how do you handle the next Lakers Detroit game?
You referee the game, and then you monitor those players. Like you have to make sure you keep an eye. All three officials throughout that game need to make sure they keep an eye, not only on just those two players, but just the game in general, because now you have backdrop, you have history on this game now. So physical play, you may have to call the game a little tighter. You may not be allowed them to get as physical, especially, and then this all came from rebounding action. So you have to be tighter.
They do play Sunday.
Yeah, so you have to be tighter on the rebounding action, because that's where a lot of things happen. When they tie up for loose balls and jump ball situations, you got to be quicker on the whistles on that. You may have to come in and have a better presence, just things like that. I mean, you can't control what somebody is going to do, but you have to just be more prepared and maybe call the game a little tighter, just to send the message that, hey, we're not here to allow you guys to play super physical basketball because of what happened before. So as an official, that's what they need to do. But at the end of the day, like, they're going to do, like, if you have something in mind and you're going to do it, who's to stop you? Because nobody knows when you're going to do that. But that's what they should do.
Yeah, that's what I say. So how do you stop me from going over punching LeBron? Because how do you know I'll be going over to punch LeBron?
You don't. I mean, you don't.
So Stewart, if Stewart was serious, to me, if Stewart was really serious about all of this, he will punch LeBron at some point during the game. And when he does that, they're probably going to say premeditated, and he'll get 20 games and all of this other stuff. But if he's really serious about it, it would be no doubt to me that that's what's going to happen. It wouldn't have to take them jostling and all this other stuff. Already it would be in his head. I'm punching this dude.
Wow. All right. Well, look, Zach, great topic there. Good discussion. Good points of views on that. Excellent points. I mean, but those are a lot of questions and comments that have been, thrown out there all week. And so,
before we move on, is Isaiah Stewart going to do anything in the Pistons game to LeBron James?
No.
And I would say exactly. I totally agree with you. He's not gonna. He did all this whatever. He's not gonna do anything.
Right. Exactly. And then there's a piece of me that believes he knew that he couldn't get to him. He's gonna
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, Michelle Williams is here, Zach, and look at what she said. He can't control other actions. That's a very, very, very astute point there.
Well, who can't control?
What you mean? Oh, who can't control?
Yes,
Michelle. I'm assuming she meant that, the way of the actions of LeBron can't control others' actions, but we'll let her explain that herself.
Yes, but if I hit you in the face, what do I think is going to happen? Like that's the only reason I said Stewart. I think it should be more leniency with Stewart, but tackle him. I I know we kind of got away, but I mean that for real. Like, if the NBA is worried about all the stuff that you said, tackle the guy, put handcuffs on him.
Well,
That just seems like the easiest way to de-escalate things. We're going to like, it won't look good for the optics, but after we've given you a couple, and you would have to tell me, Mr. Referee, what's a good amount of time to give an individual, I guess, a chance to cool down?
I'll say maybe 5 to 10 seconds. That's enough.
You ain't even saying a minute. So
yeah.
If that's the case, after that, and you don't want anything to happen, you have to restrain the guy.
Yeah, exactly. And Michelle, happy Thanksgiving to you, and appreciate your comment. But Zach wants you to go into a little more detail with your comment.
Well, just because I said, of course, LeBron can't control anyone's actions, but if you hit somebody upside their head, what do you think is going to happen? Unless, of course, as you said, LeBron is very intelligent, and he knew that what happened is exactly what was going to happen. Nothing. And worst case, I get a game suspension. And I wanted to go to New York and not play anyway, so now I get to go to New York and just hang out and chill.
Hey, well, look. Hopefully, that's water under the bridge. We'll find out Sunday, though. So tune in for the big matchup between the Detroit Pistons and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh yeah, that game probably will get ratings higher than it normally would.
Yeah. All right, Zach. Need your ratings on this before we get out of here. Your favorite Thanksgiving item, and we're referring to food item.
Oh,
what is it?
Well, the easy ones could be turkey, sweet potato pie. Some people gonna say pumpkin pie, whatever. And I surprised you with this. My grandmother and my mother and my aunt have attempted to make it, but you know how that goes. Nothing like what my grandmother made. Tea cakes. Best thing, tea cakes. Tea cakes. Best thing in the world. They're like cookies. Now, my grandmother's looked way better than that, but oh my God, they were so good. If any of my family is listening now, they probably know. I might have a couple family members that can maybe make it, but I don't know if they can make it as good as my grandmother. But they used to be so good. And I'd eat the dough before she even put them in the bake sometimes.
Oh, wow.
But
they must be good.
Yes, love tea cakes. And what was your favorite, or what's your favorite Thanksgiving item? Okay.
Well, my favorite Thanksgiving item. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and throw a bonus in here. I don't necessarily call it a Thanksgiving item, but my dad's tuna salad is to die for. He's well known for his tuna salad. He puts the right amount of sweet pickles in there. He puts the right amount of tuna in there, right amount of mayo in there, and it's just very good. So I had to throw that in there. But now, if we're going into the traditional Thanksgiving items, your turkeys and, things like that. Mine is more like, and since we were just finished talking about basketball, mine is more like the Stockton and Malone. When you think of John Stockton, John Stockton and Karl Malone.
Yes.
They're a 1-2 punch,
Absolutely.
Great individually, but together they pack a powerful punch. And so my item is none other than dressing and cranberry sauce.
That is a very good item. And you talked about your dad especially being tuna salad. My father was dressing. And I must say, my mother, she made everything for Thanksgiving as a dressing. And she would openly admit, hey, he makes much better dressing than I could ever think about making. So those are good items to have together. I like that. The Stockton and Malone. So is Malone the cranberry or is Stockton the cranberry?
I'm gonna go with Stockton as the cranberry, and then Malone as the dressing. Since you have more dressing than you eat cranberry sauce. So
yes,
I would go. Karl Malone was like, the bigger guy, the post player. He was kind of more of the rock of the team, and then Stockton was, he kept everything together, kind of held it together. So I go dressing is Carmelone and cranberry sauce is Stockton. But either way, you're looking good out there. Either way, tea cakes. I mean, what is it again? Tea cake.
Tea cakes.
Okay, I need to try one of those.
You need to
try it.
You need to ask your mom and daddy about it. Look, they from the South. They from the country. They should. Yeah. I'm gonna guess they got family members that know about tea cakes. But tea cakes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an interesting item. I don't think that would be brought up anywhere today. Besides our show, and that's the uniqueness of our show, Zach, and that's the perspective that you bring to the table. You bring something unique every time, Zach.
Well, we're gonna go there. Look, I am a good old country boy, and as I said, tea cakes.
Okay.
Look, don't let me get up here. You get some of my family members over here, they'll tell you how I used to eat butter sandwiches.
Okay, Zach. Wow, butter sandwiches.
Butter sandwiches.
Wow, that's for another show. But but yes, Michelle, there's Michelle, Zach. She's referring to others intervening.
Hey, look, amen,
very good
Michelle.
Point. Very good point.
Because I'm with her. That's why I say don't get involved. So yes, ma'am.
Yep. That's very good point, Michelle.
I feel like that's a cop out by the NBA, but I get it. It's ever since the Malice in the Palace, that is the easy way to go. But it's start throwing people out for 10, 15 games.
Yeah,
I bet they won't get involved in. And she said, "Look, that'll help control 10 games automatically.
It will. That'll put it to an end." And by the way, Michelle, we thank her for her comments. Her son plays the same position you did, Zach, in your day.
Amen.
And I actually witnessed him get. I saw a video of him getting the interception. Now I also witnessed him play too, but so he's a good defensive back.
Is he high school or college now?
High school.
Okay. In the great state of Georgia.
Yes.
Oh, well, then of course he's outstanding because Georgia produces outstanding high school football players.
Very good point, Zach. We're looking at one. We're looking at one on the screen now.
We take our football seriously down there.
Yes, sir. Man, Zach, this has been fun, man. I'm
yes, it has.
We're able to get up and get this out there. The Detroit Lions are actually playing football right now.
Oh yeah, they are.
I know you're missing that. You can't wait to see some more of that.
I know. I'm super excited for them.
Exactly.
Let's see. Can we get a score update? Let's see what the score is. Is there a score? Would be a question.
Well, Detroit was winning actually when I looked up. So
7-0 Detroit.
Right. They did score on a passing touchdown. So things are looking good for Detroit. Looking bad for my fantasy selection because I did select Chicago's defense.
I mean, not that I guess it matters too much, but if you're Detroit, you don't want to win a whole bunch of games because I guess you're in the mix for the number one pick, and unless you're going to trade it for a quarterback, which I don't think that you are, then you need to. I assume the defensive end for Oregon is going to be the sweetheart prize. None of the quarterbacks are worth drafting, at least not high. So they better not win too much, or they'll be like the Jets. You go from getting Trevor Lawrence to Zach Wilson because you win one game.
Yep. Man, wow, Zach. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Happy Thanksgiving. Tell the family I said hello and happy Thanksgiving.
All right, same there. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone who was listening and watching out there, and those who are going to be tuning in later to check out the show. We definitely appreciate you guys. And
yes,
have a great day and all that good stuff. But for Zach, I am Mr. 411. We are the Sportz Brothers, and we're out.
Have a good one.